So what do you think about the influence of pornography
Hmm.
on the work that the work that you do and people's relationship to sex, not only men but the male female interaction? What are your thoughts on our culture of porn addiction, essentially?
Yeah, I think it's extremely problematic. So I don't think porn is inherently bad. Kind of back to that concept of like no such thing as right or wrong. I think most things it's a matter of like how it's being used, how it's being created, what purpose it's serving. I think that the vast majority of the way porn is created and carried out and consumed is very problematic for a lot of reasons. It puts sex in this context of being a performance rather than playtime. It's
Yeah.
like everyone's got all these ideas of how it's supposed to look and how it's supposed to go and what their bodies are supposed to look like. Um, Takes sex really out of the body and into the mind, but we have sex with our bodies, so we want to be present in our bodies. It desensitizes a lot of people, objectifies people. There can be a lot of problems around being able to get turned on by a real person.
Hmm.
Ways that it increases your tolerance, ways that it floods your brain with dopamine and makes your body think that you've already achieved the reward you're after. So for a lot of people, they'll just watch porn instead of having the motivation to actually go out and connect with somebody because it's easier to just push a button. And yeah, it can be really hard on your body physiologically. I've seen men in their early 20s having severe erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation because of porn. And sometimes that can take up to 9 months for the body to completely come back into balance after 9 months of no porn. So, a lot of problems that it can cause ultimately.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a recovering sex addict myself. Um, and it was my for me, my relationship to porn. I can rationalize it. We can rationalize it. It didn't have the ED effects or anything like that, but it had the growing up in porn era, because I grew up like internet. I don't know how old you are, but like internet porn is like was part of the beginning of my sexual maturity.
Right.
You know, um, and I realized that it's how do I want to say this? It's progressive. It's a progressive, behavior in this and relationship to sex. So it goes from watching this to watching this to watching this to watching this. So do you help men unlearn those, because it's pushing a threshold where like gaping butts become the thing. Hey, I'm getting feedback. Oh, but where like extremely intense stuff becomes the only thing that works for men. Do you help men scale that back into a reality, and what does that look like?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's one of the pieces that can be so problematic is that it becomes this very visual mental thing where you've got this increasingly high tolerance, and it can take it so far away from reality. And so one of the ways that we start to work with this, and this can be really challenging in the beginning, is cultivating a self-pleasure practice where you're sourcing your turn on from within rather than having external stimulus or even fantasy. So, again, nothing wrong with fantasy at all. But if you're trying to heal your sexuality and come back into a place of embodied sexuality, we need to come out of the mind and into the body. And so, there's something very powerful about being able to stay present with the sensations in your body and to keep your mind focused. It's almost like meditative masturbation. It's like a very intentional way of exploring your sexual energy and connecting with it in a meaningful, fulfilling way where you're having a dialogue with it rather than talking at it. So we very frequently
Mhm.
talk at our sexual energy. We want to get something from it rather than cultivating that ability to listen. And so, we start by can you derive your turn on from within yourself and the five senses in your body? And sometimes that is extremely challenging for men at first, especially if they've gone deep into the porn rabbit hole. And so taking time, being patient with it, getting out of this goal orientation around I'm doing this to chase orgasm. The whole point of this is to get off, but rather I'm doing this to expand and prolong pleasure and connect with myself and learn about myself and find a new way of doing this that can actually be much more exploratory and playful and fulfilling. But it can take some time to kind of rewire doing this. Sometimes it can feel boring or frustrating or all kinds of things in the beginning. But it's just kind of like learning anything or unlearning anything. It takes some time and patience and really pays off if you can put that love into it.
Definitely.